And now we're gonna talk about gigantic toilet sinking submarine. He.
Today we're talking about that time in World War II when a German officer sank his own submarine by taking a dump. Yeah, this actually happened. But first, an ad. This video is brought to you by Warwood Tools, an American family-owned business based out of West Virginia that's been making sledgehammers and axes for over 165 years. I mean, look at this bad boy. It's a 10-pound sledgehammer made out of 1060 high-carbon steel that was forged using World War II era drop hammers. So next time somebody tells you they don't make things like they used to, just know that Warwood actually does. Back to the video. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Type 7 German U-boat. U-boat just means underwater boat, aka it's a submarine, and the Germans just wanted to use a different name so that they could feel special. But with
really,
the Type
that's
7...
the only reason it's called that? Well, they just have to come up with their own name for it, huh?
U-boat in particular, a special name just wasn't special enough. No. They also had to have a special type of toilet. You see, the Germans didn't want to use a septic tank on board for their bathroom.
Hold on, guys. I want to make sure you guys can see this. It reminds me of like an airport. I mean, worse, but you know what I mean? It's like the tiniest, most awkward commode in the history of anything. This reminds me of having to go to the bathroom on a plane. It's like being porcelain dethroned, okay? There's the porcelain throne. This is the porcelain peasant. That's what this is.
Like literally every other submarine ever, you know, because septic tanks made sense and were convenient. I mean, they took up a lot of space and added weight, apparently. So instead, they engineered their way out of common sense and proceeded to make a toilet that would flush directly into the ocean, which honestly wasn't a terrible idea, except for the fact that you could only flush when the submarine was above water, which, as I'm sure you can tell by the name Submarine, wasn't all that often. You see, when the submarine was underwater, it meant that the pressure outside of the sub was greater than the pressure in the sub, and you can't exactly flush a toilet into a higher pressure system because that's not how toilets work, because, you know, gravity and science and shit.
Oh, no.
Yes, science!
If you're not picking up what I'm putting down, I'm trying to tell you that every time this submarine was underwater and one of the 50 crewmen had to take a piss or honk out a dirt snake, they had to do it into a bucket because the toilets didn't work.
Oh my god. So you are stuck in a tiny enclosed space with a poop candle for hours at a time. That would be like my personal hell. Like, they should do this as a punishment for like the worst people in existence. I feel like we don't need to send them to prison. We just need to send them underwater in an enclosed space, only smelling poop for hours. I feel like we might be able to change humanity by doing that.
God. And then they just had to leave the bucket sitting out and hope they didn't spill, which is what the medical community refers to as fucking disgusting. Enter the turd-tagonist of our story, ladies and gentlemen, U-boat 1206. It would depart for its first war patrol ever on April 6, 1945, under the command of 28-year-old Adolf Schlitt. And Commander Schlitt's new vessel was equipped with the latest and greatest toilet technology. You see the
Commander Schlitz? You mean Commander Shits? If he's not gonna make the joke, I am, alright? I'm not above it. I'm not above it.
Germans had addressed the issue of not being able to flush underwater, and it absolutely was not by equipping a septic tank like everyone else. No, they had superior German engineering, and that's exactly what they used on their toilet, because they created a toilet that would flush into a pressure chamber that they would then pressurize to a pressure that was greater than the water pressure outside of the sub, and then they would open it and shoot the feces into the water, like a poop torpedo. They literally—
Yeah, I was gonna say, they've got submarine poop torpedo. That's terrifying.
Made a turd torpedo.
Nice.
Which honestly infuriates me on so many different levels. Because A, they're roaming around the seven seas blowing mud all over the ocean floor, and I can't even get a plastic straw 78 years later. Look, I'm not saying I don't care about the turtles. All I'm saying is we need to come up with a compromise where I can pretend to give a shit about ocean animals while also not having a mushy straw halfway through my drink. Second,
I agree with that. Paper straws suck in both ways.
And probably most importantly, this toilet was so complex and it was so vital that it be used 100% correctly 100% of the time that they had to train a new crew member, and his whole job was to flush this toilet. And his job title was, and I quote, the shit man.
Imagine you being known for that. Imagine that being your job.
And that, kids, is probably the best example I can give you of why commas are important, because there is a significant difference between being the shit man and being the shit man. Because one of them means that you're probably a pretty cool guy, and the other one means that all your coworkers are gonna talk to you like this.
Shitter was full!
Yeah. You checked our shitters, honey?
Okay, first of all, having a toilet be so complex.
Like, somehow it's even worse than being a plumber, right? This system is cursed. Beware the shit man cometh. Yeah, you're like the reverse plumber.
It necessitates its own career path is the brightest shining example of German engineering I've ever seen in my entire life. And secondly, it's important to remember the whole reason they did this was to save space and weight by not having a septic tank. Now,
You're the designated turd operator.
they have a new member of the crew whose whole job is to flush the toilet. He's also going to need somewhere to live, and he's going to have to eat food. At best, they're maybe breaking even. And to top it all off,
The underwater feces factoid.
they're also launching butt burritos at innocent turtles. This is unacceptable. Okay, so U-Boat 1206 is on its first war patrol ever. 8 days into that war patrol, Commander Schlitt has to take a shit. You can't make this up. So the commander goes in the submarine, does what he has to do, and then when it comes time to summon the toilet guy, whose whole job is to flush the toilet and nothing else, he decides, nah, if anybody's gonna launch this stink pickle at an innocent fish, it's gonna be me. Plus, I'm an officer. I'm smart. How complex could it be? Things promptly go catastrophically wrong, and the entire compartment begins filling with his own feces and seawater.
Oh my god. So this happened simply because he had to be the master of his own turd throwing? Oh. Oh my god!
Which honestly wouldn't be the end of the world except for the fact that this compartment was also full of high-capacity batteries for the submarine, and when high-capacity batteries are exposed to salt water, they start to release hydrogen and chlorine gas. Hydrogen being extremely flammable and chlorine gas being toxic would force the crew to immediately surface a vessel, open up the hatch, and start venting the toxic fumes. And just when you think this day couldn't get any shittier, they were immediately spotted by the Royal Air Force, who began attacking them.
Oh
the
my
RAF
God.
would then critically damage U-Boat 1206, causing the entire crew to flee on life rafts, where they were captured and held prisoner till the end of the war about 3 weeks later. Commander Schlitt would actually survive and live to the age of 90 when he passed away in 2009, being probably the only guy to go to the bathroom and actually blow it up. So in conclusion, I truly believe that this may be the most expensive and consequential bowel movement in human history, and if it's not, I need you to let me know in the comments what actually is. And if you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch
so
at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang, out.
That's disgusting. Like, what the... I hope they call him Commander Shits and not Schlitz or whatever anymore. I would forever hold a grudge against that guy. Can you imagine? Can you imagine remembering that? Remembering that person who did that? I would hate him forever. I would never forgive him for that. I would not be the bigger person, alright? I would not be the bigger person! Mua, 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 mua.